Hi, Damian. How are you feeling today?
It is a bit cold here in Warsaw today, -3. So, it's freezing.
Yeah, it is a Polish weather, yeah?
Yeah.
Very typical. So, you know what I was thinking to talk about today? The loneliness and solitude. Have you ever thought about these two terms? Loneliness versus solitude?
Yeah, of course, many times in my life. And I think it's worth talking about, discovering, sharing especially our feelings about it. So, great topic.
Yeah, recently I watched a movie. It's called The Lost Daughter. One of my favorite artists, Ria Coleman.
I know her, yeah, British actress.
I love her. I guess she played in The Crown.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was about the professor of literature. He was moving to Greece. Of course, I'm not going to give a spoiler, but this made me feel really think about the solitude and loneliness idea. Because I believe that what we say loneliness may be the solitude, and what we say solitude may be loneliness.
So, when it comes to the loneliness, I would say that my first association is pain and depression, situation in which you found yourself because of some issues, problems. Solitude for me is rather a place of peace that you choose to reflect on yourself, to grow.
Yeah. Well, what you say makes sense for me as well, because in my opinion, in the loneliness, it is mostly tied with emotional anxiety, maybe exhaustion.
Yeah.
On the contrary, solitude is a chosen state of mind. We choose solitude.
Yes, we should spend some time alone with our thoughts rather than to escape into some sort of noise.
When we think about loneliness, I'm also thinking that sometimes it's not a quality, but more quantity. What I mean is that we can be in the crowd, we can be within our family, we can still feel lonely. That's why I like what Sartre said once. If you feel lonely when you are by yourself, it means that you are not a good company. What do you think about this feeling lonely within the crowd, within the family members?
From the psychological point of view, it may tell a lot about your ties that you have with your people who are close to you. Maybe you are not feeling comfortable showing your true self and you close up. Maybe you have issues with feeling safe.
But safety is very crucial, isn't it?
Yeah.
In any of our social interactions, what we are seeking or what we are feeling comfortable is environments that we feel safe. And I think we want to belong to those places, those spaces, and those people. Another aspect of loneliness is that we do not feel understood. The first thing that comes into my mind is Franz Kafka's the masterpiece, The Metamorphosis. Kafka, in Metamorphosis, he starts with the sentence, Gregor Samsa, one morning, he woke up from his disturbing dreams as a giant insect. And imagine someone is waking up as a giant insect within the family home. And the idea of trying to get up and still forcing himself to go to work, because this is something very extraordinary, isn't it? But it gives me so big understanding of loneliness. What would you say about those things, that loneliness within the people that are the most close to us?
You also mentioned workplace. So I think that in today's world, the professions that we perform very often tend to alienate us from values. Karl Marx wrote, of the alienation of the worker, where we are attached from the values that we bring to the society by our work. We tend to lose the meaning, lose the direction towards which we should strive. And I think that this also causes the feelings of anxiety and then of loneliness.
So what you are saying is that the foundation of the loneliness is actually related with meaningless life, or unfulfilled life.
Yeah.
Recently, I watched one interview of GABOR, Canadian psychiatrist. I really like him and his approach to life. And he said that one of the main reasons of regret is to live a life that unfulfilled. When I read the book of YALOM,
Who's that?
American psychiatrist, then he says that one of the main reasons of fear of death is to have a life that was not from its potential. When we think about the loneliness, it has also very similar symptoms, such as anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, cardiovascular diseases. I watched one interview and there was one psychiatrist and he was saying loneliness caused harm as you smoke 15 cigarettes per day. I think it's also related, feeling lonely and all this harm that you are getting through this loneliness, isn't it? Maybe we can also a little bit talk about the solitude. Because for me, the solitude is I like to describe it as a chosen loneliness. I feel like in loneliness, it leads us to dark places. On the contrary, solitude is more creative, more fulfilling place.
I would say even that it's necessary for...
It is necessary, isn't it?
I feel, for healthy lives, for healthy existence. That's also important, I think, for the creative mind to find a bit of solitude because it gives you perspective.
Once I read how Beethoven wrote Moonlight Sonatas, and I remember that he moved out of the city, far from society. And I think for the creative people, for the artists, solitude is inevitable. Once Nietzsche said, all the great events, they are not in the loudest, but the most silent hours. I think when we are by ourselves, as Nietzsche said, we are facing with loneliness, and this loneliness can be transformed to solitude by understanding, by trying to understand ourselves.
So we are saying that loneliness is solitude, which is aimless.
I agree.
One day later.
Good morning again, Damian.
Hey, Fatih.
How are you?
I'm cold and happy to be here, as always.
So maybe you would like to tell us what happened?
Let's say it was a technical issue, but it turned out that we were missing 15 minutes of our video. So we are here again, always positive and always happy. Yesterday we recorded this old lady, and I remember that it brought us to the topic of how we should break the patterns of our comfort zones.
It is very important to not to be trapped within the solitude. We should be very self-aware that why I am doing that, where am I and how do I feel? Being physical, active, having social connections, spending time with loved ones, they are very important notions. And they are not some things that we can substitute with our solitude. None of the books in the world wouldn't give you the feeling that you are receiving from a loved one. I think intellectualization in this sense may also create some walls around us. A self-aware individual should demolish these walls again and again and again and reconstruct. I think this is a constant journey of demolishing and reconstructing. And I would like to hear your opinion.
I think each time that we are feeling too comfortable, that we are not challenging ourselves in order to grow. And this gives you a sense of being trapped. Then you start building around this trap your solitude. And when you talk about intellectualization, I remember when I was 13, I would spend a very long time by myself. I remember that books, art were an escape for me from the loneliness. I was trying to be more intellectual than others, trying to overcompensate vulnerabilities that I have.
Yeah, it shouldn't be easy for you, yeah?
Yes. But I've dealt with that, and I understood with time that what I really need is a human connection, which books and art cannot replace.
Now you are smiling behind the camera.
Yeah.
Because the lady that you mentioned, it's so interesting, isn't it?
A small Sunday miracle for us.
Like 2 million population in Warsaw, and you are seeing the same lady with the same sticks again. That's so amazing, really. I think this is very beautiful, very beautiful to not to lose your passion in the life. I would like to ask you, what would you say about a trope that you mentioned, illusion of solitude, when we are driving our car towards loneliness?
Yeah, I would say keep in touch with people you love, with people you cherish, to talk to them.
So one of the main things is to have strong human connections with the loved ones. This is actually the foundation of not falling into the trap of loneliness. And we can say the second thing, what we mentioned, is to be physically active. I watched one podcast. There was a psychiatrist, and he said that when you are in a depression, if you cannot do anything, just go outside, just walk, just take a few steps. And every single physical activity is going to release hormones in your body that is going to be against depression. And also the third thing that we were aligned is not to build walls around us out of intellectualization and not trying to substitute it with human connections.
The other way around. Do not substitute our need for human connection with art or with intellect.
Well, Damian, thank you very much. I think after these 2 strong days, what we deserve, a good
coffee or tea. It depends on you. I'm a coffee guy.
You're the coffee guy. Yeah. Okay. So you're an Italian, you're a coffee guy.
And you as a Turk?
Of course, tea.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions when it comes to a good place?
Well, there is a very lovely and very vintage vibe cafe in Warsaw that I really, really like to be there. They have very wonderful coffee and also tea. So let's go there.
Go. Okay.